Hello, everyone. On this Sunday, 10th August 2025, I am Madam Anireju Erewa. Whatever time you are right now, I greet and welcome you to my channel, Anireju News. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Mete wa Biafra de no. Mete wa Biafra de no.
Asina he hit me megi.
Mete wa Biafra de no.
Akane hiora.
Dule o.
Mete
Mete wa Biafra de no.
Nnamdi Kanu family accuses Britain of aiding Nigeria in unlawful rendition. Trial of Kanu. In a reflection newsletter dated August 3rd, 2025. This will be the focus of this episode. I am going to read the content of the Kanu family newsletter written on the date as is. The family of the detained Biafra Nation agitator Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has accused the United Kingdom of aiding Nigeria in the rendition of their son from Kenya to Nigeria. Specifically, the family took swipe at the British government for continually refusing to challenge the prosecution of Kanu in Nigeria on the ground that there is no justification for such trial. In a statement on Sunday by the family spokesman, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, the family said that the action, especially silence of the United Kingdom in the ordeal of Kanu, was painful because the detainee is a lawful British citizen. Apparently, angry with the development, the family challenged Britain to publicly accept responsibility for her complicity in the illegal rendition of Kanu. The family also asked Britain to demand Kanu's immediate return to either Kenya or the United Kingdom and to cease all diplomatic and legal support that sustains trial in Nigeria. Besides, the family demands that the United Kingdom should initiate a parliamentary inquiry into the roles played by the British High Commissions in Nairobi and Abuja in the rendition of Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria in 2021. The statement read in part, "With hearts burdened by sorrow, we, the family of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, issue this solemn declaration to the world. We do so not only in defense of our beloved brother, father, and uncle, but in defense of truth, justice, and sacred memory of the over 5 million Biafrans slaughtered during Britain's orchestrated genocide from 1967 to 1970. Today, the same British government that armed Nigeria to starve Biafran children to death now stands accused of a far more cowardly crime: the silent orchestration and diplomatic shielding of an illegal rendition, torture, and political show trial of a British citizen for exercising freedoms guaranteed under British law. Let the world take note: where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to die in the custody of the Nigerian government, it would be to the internal shame of and blood-drenched legacy of the United Kingdom. Yeah. In June 2021, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a lawful British citizen and leader of a peaceful self-determination movement, IPOB, registered under UK law, was abducted in Nairobi, Kenya, subjected to extraordinary rendition without due process, and illegally transferred to Nigeria by operatives whose trial the British authorities have deliberately ignored. This transnational crime was carried out in clear violation of Kenya and international law. Yet Britain said nothing. Worse still, their silence gave Nigeria the license to act with impunity. Why was the British High Commission in Nairobi inactive while a British citizen was drugged, tortured, and flown out in chains? Why was the UK Foreign Office complicit in turning a blind eye to this abduction that violated every known treaty obligation under international rights and consular law? The answer is now painfully clear. Britain was not merely a bystander. Britain was a co-conspirator. Following his illegal rendition, the UK government pretended to be engaged. British consular officials visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in DSS custody in Abuja. He asked one simple question: why is the United Kingdom allowing a British citizen to be tried for broadcasts made in the UK, where both IPOB and Radio Biafra are lawful entitles? The response was both evasive and insidious. We will get back to you, but they never did. Instead, within 4 days of that meeting, Nigeria's then Attorney General Abubakar Malami quietly amended the charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, removing London, United Kingdom, as the location of the alleged offenses. The only logical inference is that the British authorities either advised Nigeria to do this or consented to a cover-up to evade the UK's own jurisdictional responsibilities. Despite IPOB's legal status in the UK and the total absence of any UK court order outlawing its activities, the British government has continually refused to challenge the unlawful persecution of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Nigeria. Why? Because they know what every international legal scholar knows, that the alleged offenses occurred outside Nigeria territory, that the primary jurisdiction lies in the UK, not Nigeria, that the rendition violated the UK's own Extradition Act, the Commonwealth Mutual Assistance Treaty, and all norms of international law. Yet, when the question was asked of the British Foreign Office, why won't you demand that your own citizen be returned to either the UK or Kenya, where he was abducted, they offered the most cowardly response imaginable: we cannot interfere in a Nigeria trial. This is not just false, it is a betrayal. The UK government has in fact interfered constantly by suppressing evidence, shielding Nigeria impunity, erasing its own culpability from shame of events that led to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's ongoing ordeal. In 1968, they supplied the arms that killed Biafran children. In 2021, they supplied the silence that allowed their citizens to be kidnapped and tortured. What exactly did Igbo people do to Britain to deserve this generational hatred? Is it our resilience, our enterprise, or our refusal to bow to colonial structures masquerading as post-colonial governments? Was it that every time, I read that line again, sorry. Why is it that every time an Igbo leader rises to speak truth to power, Britain rushes to undermine him? It is time for the world to know Britain's hatred for the Igbo people has outlived colonialism. What they could not achieve with bombs and starvation in 1967, they now pursue through legal manipulation, judicial collusions, and geopolitical deceit. This statement is not made in anger. It is made in defiance. We defy the centuries of British deception in Africa. We defy the silence that enables crimes against our people. And we defy the notion that a British citizen can be abducted, tortured, and tried abroad without the UK lifting a finger. If anything happens to our brother, the Kanu family will hold the United Kingdom responsible, not because they failed to act, but because they chose to act on the side of evil. There is not neutrality. It is an endorsement of tyranny. Let the earth tremble with this truth. Let history record our warning. Let justice not be buried under diplomatic hypocrisies, the statement said. So this is the letter, the newsletter that I just read. It is online also. You can go online and read it there as well. All right. British United Kingdom finally caught itself in its own evil trap that it has enjoyed for decades of years in Africa. This time around, there is no escape route for British, for UK. Yes, no escape. Yes, sir. I have 4 video clips for us to watch about the criminal conspiracies committed against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is a legal, lawful British citizen, and Britain, being the main co-conspirator, pretended to be engaged. Let's watch the first video clip.
Today is the 4th day of August 2025, approximately 2 months and 6 days to the court case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And as you know, this man has been given judgment. He has been set free by many courts in Nigeria within this time of his trial, but somehow still finds himself in the dungeon where he is actually suffering as he is locked out of everything happening in this world. As you are aware, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was abducted on June 2021, and on October 13th, 2022, he was discharged and acquitted by the second highest court in the land, which is the appeal court sitting in Abuja, where he was discharged of all charges. The court, having looked at the case, thought it wise to discharge the case at that moment in time. But of course, as you know, the federal government under Abubakar Malami, who was the Attorney General as at then, decided to still hold on to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and refused to let him go. He refused to obey the judgment of the Court of Appeal, adding more fire to the lots of illegality that has been happening under his regime and under the government of Buhari, who you all know broke all relevant laws both locally and internationally to bring Mazi Nnamdi Kanu back to this country, an act which has been adjudged as an illegal rendition and a forbidden rendition that was done in Kenya and banned by United Nations. But many people do not know the details of that Court of Appeal judgment, and why is it that after that judgment, Nnamdi Kanu is still in the dungeon. For this video, I'll be breaking down the Court of Appeal judgment of 2022, October 13th, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's and checking if actually there was a loophole in the judgment or if it was just a normal witch hunt, which we are already used to, by the Nigerian government to keep on frustrating Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Because by right, that was the moment Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should have walked free.
You have seen the video. Let's watch the second video clip.
The Court of Appeal in Abuja delivered a landmark ruling on October 13, 2022 in Appeal Court Case File number CA/ABJ/CR/625/2022, which was filed by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The court's judgment was clear, firm, and historic, addressing both constitutional and international law violations. The Court of Appeal discharged Nnamdi Kanu of all remaining charges, effectively striking out the 7-count amended charge of terrorism and treasonable felony pending at the Federal High Court, Abuja. Also declaring that he should never have been tried or arraigned in Nigeria in the first place due to the illegality of his extradition. The court also emphasized that the manner in which Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria from Kenya violated international laws and rendered the trial illegal. He was abducted in Kenya by Nigerian security agents in 2021 of June. Also, there was no formal extradition process through Kenya or international courts. Also said that this act was declared a flagrant violation of international law and an affront to Nigerian constitutional order. The court noted that the federal government breached Kanu's rights to personal liberty, fair hearing, and due process. They said that his forceful repatriation or rendition was a gross abuse of executive power and nullified any proceedings arising from it. The court invoked the doctrine called Clean Hands Doctrine. It said, a government that comes to court with unclean hands through illegality cannot benefit from the court's jurisdiction. Since the FG flouted both Nigerian and international law in bringing in Kanu back, they forfeited the legal right to prosecute him. Therefore, the Court of Appeal held that the Federal High Court had no jurisdiction to entertain Kanu's trial anymore. Also, that any trial that follows an illegal arrest is itself illegal and void. So this is the final verdict. The trial court is divested of jurisdiction to entertain the suit. The appeal court succeeds. Nnamdi Kanu is hereby discharged. That was the ruling of the appeal court on the 13th of October 2022. Putting this judgment side by side with the judgment of Kenya this year, 2025, you will also see lots of similarities in the way the judgment went. That means something struck out in the two courts. Something similar played out in the court. The Nigerian Appeal Court held that Nnamdi Kanu was illegally renditioned from Kenya, and illegality cannot breed legality. The Kenyan court on its own side also held that he was extraordinarily renditioned against his own right. He was tortured and he was housed in an unknown place, kept against his human rights, and a subsequent kidnap and abduction to Nigeria was illegal, null, and void. This second judgment from Kenya came about 3 years after the appeal court gave judgment to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So let us go back to the appeal court judgment. After October 13th, 2022, Abubakar Malami, who was the Attorney General under the last government, decided to hold on to Kanu tightly and rather throw him deep in the dungeon of the DSS rather than obeying the court. This shows the high level of impunity that exists in the country, Nigeria, and why the judiciary is not and no longer the hope of the common man. Instead, the judiciary looks like a weapon for the government itself. If not, tell me, what power does Malami have over the Nigerian court? How can a single man himself decide what judgment he should obey and what judgment he should not obey? That sets a wrong precedent and ultimately will lead to the collapse of Nigeria itself, according to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that has always said that one day the zoo will collapse. What Malami did was to lie and tell the world that the appeal court itself never acquitted Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, only discharged him. Please, ladies and gentlemen, what is the difference between discharge and acquittal? I will help you. When you say discharge, you mean this case, because of technical reasons, we can no longer continue with this case. It is a closed case because you abducted this man.
You have seen the video and heard that Abuja Court of Appeal freed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on 13th October 2022. But Abubakar Malami refused to let go of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Malami instead decided to hold on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for incarceration, persecution in the DSS dungeon sealed with British UK. Silence is golden. Ziploc. Yes. Sealed with it. Yes, sir. Yeah, okay. And when British foreign officer was asked, why won't you demand for the return of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, your citizen, either to the UK or Kenya, where he was abducted from? They gave a cowardly, cold, calculated, premeditated response that they cannot interfere in Nigeria trial. Oh, now they hear that? Yeah. Meaning that British UK used Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a collateral to protect its own interest, its own involvement, participations in the Criminal Conspiracy Act. Yes. That's why Britain gave that, to protect its own interest. But this is not years past anymore. Yes, this is not years past anymore. Yes, so this is now. This is media time. This time around, there is no loophole, escape route for British. Yes. Okay. We continue. Let's watch the third video.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu can no longer be coming to this court case from the DSS dungeon. Yes. And in fact, he should never have started this case resumption coming from the DSS dungeon, because there is no place in the Nigerian constitution that supports his incarceration, that supports his coming to the courts from the DSS dungeon. There is no place. In fact, throughout the night, I was going through a lot of legal files. I was going through the constitution, and I was also going through some framework and Nnamdi Kanu's case in the past years. And I found out that the DSS actually has no right to keep a suspect more than 180 days in total, of which the first 90 days should be an order of court. And if they are not able to gather evidence, they can approach the court to still grant them extra 90 days, of which 180 days is enough sufficient for the DSS itself to file a case against anyone under Nigerian law. Listen to me, I'm still coming. Calm down. Because lots of illegalities are going on in this country and nobody is talking about it. Everybody is just allowing it. That's why sometimes you see me accusing Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers of not testing some of all this his rights in court. You don't test these things in court. You can say, okay, that Nyako, that is a different scenario. And remember how it led Nyako. It led her to losing that case and the case being transferred to Omotosho. The first thing you should have done under Omotosho was to test those things that you tested under Nyako, that you did not get judgment for. You test it again at the beginning. Because that is why it was removed from Bita Nyako in the first place. Do you understand? Let me tell you what Nigerian Constitution says. Under the Nigerian Constitution, only a suspect, mark it, a suspect can be kept in the cell of the DSS. That is, a suspect that has not yet been charged to court. Once the person is charged to court, that means you have gathered enough evidence for prosecution now. The person is now dragged to court. Once the case file has been opened and the person pleads guilty or not guilty, that person becomes a defendant, not more a suspect. And under Nigerian Constitution, it is only the Nigerian Correctional Service, which is the Nigerian prisons, that have the right to hold a defendant. Do you understand? Not the DSS. Because he is now under the judiciary. So it is the job of the Nigerian Correctional Service, which is Nigerian prison, to hold Mazi Nnamdi Kanu at this time. In fact, after 180 days in the DSS dungeon, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should no longer have been there. And at the resumption of this trial on March, that would have been the first thing that would have been done before the case resumed. And as it stands today, that should be the next thing that should be done before they can say, bim, in the next court case.
You have seen the video. Let's watch the fourth video.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should stop coming to the court case from the DSS dungeon immediately. Immediately, because this is a rape of justice, a dehumanization of injustice. It should never have happened in the first place. To buttress this point, I'm going to read out some sections for you. I'm going to read out what the Constitution says about this, and you will be very, very shocked. Listen. Under Section 293 to Section 296 of the ACGA Act 2015, this law binds all federal agencies, including the DSS, that a suspect must be brought before a judge within 24 or 48 hours. Now, listen very carefully. This is the legal basis for the DSS or any agency to detain a terror suspect. Listen very carefully. With a federal high court order. 1. Initial detention should be up to 90 days. Then renewal, which is only once, should happen for another 90 days if the initial 90 days wasn't sufficient enough to prosecute. Total maximum is 180 days. Now listen. Listen to this cash. It is not lawful for a suspect to be kept in DSS custody indefinitely while attending court for years. Once a suspect is arraigned in court, they are no longer in the investigation phase and should be transferred to the correctional facility, which is the prisons. Now listen. There are also legal implications for detaining someone beyond this 180 days. These are consequences of detention beyond 180 days. Number one, it is a constitutional breach in section 35, subsection 4 to 6 of the Nigerian Constitution. Also, it is a violation of fair trial rights. A violation of fair trial rights because you cannot be in the custody of people who are suing you, people who are charging you to court. It is not balanced at all because anytime you go to court, you may not feel free to express yourself. By so doing, it is a hindrance to the administration of justice. And I've said this many weeks ago that Nnamdi Kanu cannot be testifying against the DSS, staying in the DSS cell. Cannot. Doesn't make any sense. It's a violation, of course, of fair rights hearing. So Nigerian law actually prohibits illegal detention in law and recognizes it as a violation of constitutional rights. As I told you, the Nigerian laws are there. But the problem is that in Nigeria, they do not listen or follow laws. And that is what I am talking about. That is why I am saying it here clearly. Most times they pretend they don't know those laws. And if you don't test the laws, they will not help you to test them. The international body are watching Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case right now. His case is in the searchlight. The UN is watching, American government is watching, and the whole world is watching. Omotosho is on the spotlight. Lawyers, SANS, please. It is time for you to come out open now and fight this case with every legal power you have.
You have seen the video. Yes, sir. It's all about British quest to cover is silence is golden, entire soiled hands. Yes, it's to cover it. Because following the illegal rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the UK government pretended to be engaged. And when British consular officers visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the Abuja DSS custody in a false camouflaging face, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu asked the British consular one simple question. Why is the United Kingdom allowing a British citizen to be tried for broadcasts made in the UK, where both IPOB and Radio Biafra are lawful entitles? The British consular's response to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was, they will get back to him, but they never did because their hands were soiled. Okay. What kind of evil human being without conscience is British UK officers? They came to the continent of Africa to mock, rob the continent of its God-blessed, wealthy resources, and then looked down on African people and categorized Africa as third world. Okay. Biafrans and lovers of freedom around the world stand in solidarity with Kanu's family challenged to Britain to publicly accept responsibilities for her complicity in the illegal rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Yes. And the demand for Kanu's immediate return either to Kenya or the United Kingdom, and to seize all diplomatic and legal support that UK sustains the Nigeria trials. Biafrans and lovers of freedom around the world are waiting for answers from the British government if there are British citizens they viewed and they feel and consider as more important than others. Yes. And as the Kanu family have stated for the record, if anything happens to their brother, the Kanu family will hold United Kingdom responsible because of British UK complicity, support on the side of evil acts, and endorsement of tyranny with a silence is golden seal ziploc. Yes. During the 20th century, 3-year genocide, British War of Shame, United Kingdom supplied the war ammunitions to Nigeria. And now in the 26th century, the UK provides Nigeria with all of the diplomatic silence and support that sustains Nigeria unlawful trials of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from the Binta, Yanko, Shokoloko, Bangoshe, Abuja court, where her court players were Fagbemi, John Soho, Abubakar Malami. Yes. Yeah. And now to Omotosho, Shokoloko, Bangoshe, Abuja court, where his court players are the prosecutors and DSS masked witnesses for Nigeria, that United Kingdom unlawfully sustains their unlawful courtroom operations. Yes. On October 13, 2022, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was set free unconditionally by Nigeria Appeals Court, Abuja. All of the charges against him were dismissed, including the remaining 7 counts of terrorism. The Abuja Appeals Court ruled that Nigeria is the wrong location to bring Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for a pre-hearing arraignment. And to make matter worse for Nigeria, the manner Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria from Kenya violated every aspect of international laws. This was a ruling that was made in 2022. They hide it. They hid it. Because Britain was playing silence is golden. Yes. Okay. But the truth has come out now. All right. Then, on 24th June 2025, Kenya High Court trial judge declared the abduction and rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria as unlawful and unconstitutional, and found the actions leading to Kanu's transfer constituted breach of Kenyan and international law, and his abduction, detention, torture, and denial of basic necessities of life violated his fundamental rights, including his freedom of movement and personal security. Okay. That's Kenya. They made that ruling this year in June. Yes. So, this was like 2 years and 8 months between the Nigeria appeals, the highest court of Nigeria appeals ruling, and Kenya ruling. Is 2 years and 8 months. Okay. All right. Yoruba Omotosho Abuja court trial pertaining to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is betrayal of trust and a miscarriage of justice in continued judicial witch hunt, violations of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu fundamental rights. Does Omotosho still intend to continue with his unlawful adjourned trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on 10th October 2025? Which kind of trial? Now Omotosho won't do for that October 10, 2025. Now, which kind of trial I want to do? Now, question now they ask. Yes, now I'm just asking question. Yes, because as it be now, Nigeria na republic, na banana republic, it don't be so. Okay. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was freed unconditionally on 13 October 2022 by Abuja, Nigeria Appeal Court, West Africa. And on 24 June 2025, Kenya High Court, East Africa, similarly freed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. Yes. The Abuja Appeals Court freed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally about 2 years and 8 months in October 2022 to June 2025, when the Kenya High Court freed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. Omotosho has no legal ground to conduct any trial that pertains to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and more so, Nigeria does not have the jurisdiction to conduct trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nigeria doesn't have that jurisdiction, yes. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, should be free forthwith, unconditionally, with no strings attached. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Anireju News. If you would like to donate to charity humanitarian, you can do so on my Cash App. You can also visit Anireju News online shop to order for t-shirts, pens, mugs, and souvenirs. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to bring to the attention of the world that Biafran people and lovers of freedom around the world stand in solidarity with the Kanu family on the charges filed to hold the United Kingdom accountable if anything happens to their brother, who is a lawful British citizen. Yeah. In the DSS custody. Thank you.
Mete wa Biafra de no. Mete na